This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Homebrewer Showcase, an interview with Kolsch Cup 2024 Grand Champion Jonathan Marut. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 387. I'll get there. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. No, you're literally gonna ruin the gimbal, dude. You gotta stop touching stuff. Like, oh my gosh!
Isn't that how a gimbal works? Though?
No, because it's auto tracking. If you move it around, it'll break the motor on it. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, you could call it in to 325-305-6107. And if we use your voicemail on a future episode, which we need questions right now, so call it in. And if we use it, you get yourself a $25 gift card to KegConnection.com. Joining me, spoiler alert, he is let me put it on the screen. There he is. That's your camera. You get one camera. He is the president and chief keg washer of KegConnection.com, Mr. Todd Burns. And of course, we are joined by, like you heard at the top of the show, the 2024 Kolsch Cup Grand Champion, Mr. Jonathan Marut. Jonathan, thanks for joining us, man.
Glad to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here. The drive wasn't too bad, a couple hours, right?
No, it's raining in DFW. It's been raining every day, so it was nice to come out west.
And I know you fly, you're a pilot. Do you get a kick out of people blaming airlines for the weather? Because I love it. On Reddit, like DFW, like people are like, don't fly to DFW in the summer. It's the worst.
Yeah. Well, thunderstorms are always a challenge in the summertime, wherever you are.
Yeah, I learned that last week.
Oh, yeah.
I was stuck. I was there all day. I finally drove back home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was, and then of course the weather wasn't the airline, but then the plane we got on, after waiting for 6 or 7 hours because everything gets backed up there. I get on the airplane. I'm there for like 30 minutes. The pilot comes on and goes, I got bad news for y'all. I think a bird went through the engine on the last flight, so we're going to have to pull it out of service.
Yeah, trouble.
They're
not great. Yeah.
No.
Is that so? So a bird can pass through, but
It hits stuff going through, and that's the problem.
yeah. But it happens fairly often, though, right?
Well, not too much.
No. Okay.
They don't fly that high?
Well, I mean, they do once you're coming in for landing or takeoff. You're in their airspace for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So if because you do long international flights, if you were taking off and you saw a bird or knew a bird, you'd probably have to turn back around.
I mean, a lot of times you might not even know it. If it's a little bird like a sparrow, you might not even know anything.
Interesting.
Might just go right through.
Not a bunch of miracles on the Hudson happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's only one Sully.
Yeah, those were giant Canada geese.
Oh, okay, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't even see the movie.
Yeah.
I love Tom Hanks, but I like him from more of a You've Got Mail, not necessarily a Captain Sully. But anyways, we are not here for that. Oh, look, when I was freaking out about you, I spilled my water down there. Look, it is a great episode so far.
I got a question on this gamble that you're so concerned about.
Yeah.
If I get in the image and then go out of the image, how does it know to follow you and not me?
Because it is tracked to my face. It's AI. So go ahead.
I don't want to do it. I'm just curious.
Look how cool that is. We got to get another one of these for you.
Did I pay for that?
Technically,
too? How much was that?
I don't know. Anyway, so we got a great show. We have just a wonderful show lined up for y'all today. Before we get into the whole thing with Jonathan, talking about Kolsch Cup, catching up with him, all that, I have a little bit of small talk. Let me get through it real quick. First, I'm happy we are recording this before the first episode of June, but it's not publishing until the second. So I don't know if you knew this. We talked about it months ago, but June's kit, I'm so happy to announce. Let me see if it's on screen. Boom, a delicious Dusseldorf Altstadt alt beer. It is one of our favorite recipes. I know you said you're going to be brewing it, Todd, and James wants to brew it, and my pop and I are going to be brewing it. So that's a lot of Dusseldorf alt beer.
It'll be very interesting to see how the 3 different versions turn out.
Are you going to do the same recipe that we always have, or are you going to tweak it?
No, I'm going to do the one we have.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. That's what I wanted. All of us are going to brew what we're sending out.
James is going to have to tweak it somehow.
He can't ever brew anything without tweaking it. That is true. And but anyways, if you want to brew this with us, you can go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, join a recipe receiving tier, and get this delicious kit shipped out to your door at the end of the month. Thank you to our sponsors, Muntins Malt, hopsdirect.com, and of course, Imperial Yeast, using my second favorite strain for this one. It's Kaiser. Dieter is my favorite. And I guess technically, I mean, we could get into this later, Jonathan, but you could use a Kolsch strain on an alt and vice versa.
Yeah, I don't see why.
Right, you could, and I'm sure a lot of brewers do. But this specific one has a specific strain, so we're using Kaiser from Imperial. And then I don't remember the bill off the top of my head because it's not as simple as just like, oh, it's just lager malt and this. But either way, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, which means if we're doing that officially, which we announced last week, although we haven't recorded it yet, Alt Poll Call 2024 registration is open. Go to altpollcall.com. That's ALTPOKAL.com. Register right now for our event. It's October 24th through the 26th. All the rules, all the details, all the outline is everything is there at altpollcall.com. We are excited to see. I'm calling it also the Alt Beer World Championship. That's on the logo. I don't know if you didn't comment when I showed you the new stuff for Alt Poll Call. I'm calling it the World Championship.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
We're the authority on alt beer and alt beer competitions. So,
we're the only people in the United States that have actually brewed it.
Yeah, when I'm also doing the very American sports thing by calling it a World Championship, even though it's very hyper local and regional.
I still don't know what Pokal means. So, yeah.
Cup, like a competition. Pokal is used for like knockout, which we will talk about later, Jonathan. The style that you think we should benefit from switching to on judging. You were telling me how Bluebonnet does it. Which is very Pokal in regards to the last day of judging, where it is just heads up. There is no scorecard. It's like duking out style to style.
Yep.
Everyone talking about it at once. We'll get into that when we talk about a ton of stuff that we're going to talk about. But again, Alt Pokal registration is live. ALTPOKAL.com. It's not until October 24th, but listen, guys. sign up over at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Get the alt beer. We call it June's kits. All these kits are really for the following month because they ship at the end of the month. So you brew this in July. That's a ton of time for it to cold crash, condition, and all that by the time you're going to mail it to us in October. We're just wanting to give y'all as big a heads up as we possibly can. So again, all the details are available in the show notes. And if you're watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, you can watch me with the gimbal cam that's tracking too. Anyways, that's all the small talk I have, Todd. I got done.
How much was it again?
How much what?
How much was that again?
Then it's none of your business. What are you talking about? Okay. You have a supercomputer in your pocket. Google search it. It's on my credit card. Your credit card. Anyway, so we do have a great show. Jonathan, I want to get started. Let's catch up with you. What you been up to? First off, I want to get it out of the way. People think we rigged the competition for you. Can you verify?
I heard that, yes.
How much did you pay us? Because I didn't see anything.
Whatever the entry fee was, that's all I paid. So.
Oh, that's a good answer. No, it is funny. We've had, I don't think anyone was really serious, but they're like, what are the odds of everyone entering that, y'all's buddy would actually win it? I was like, well, a lot of our buddies enter it, to be fair.
Well, I entered it last year and didn't win. I mean, I didn't even make it to second day last year. So.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so.
And I actually, and now I'm thinking about it, I have your alt pull call entry still in my fridge.
Oh, really?
The one that, one that didn't make it, that didn't make it to second day either.
Yeah.
And so I still have that in my fridge. I've been a bad friend.
Thanks for reminding him.
Yeah, I'm a bad friend. I have beer from you. I have beer from our buddy Merlinus. There's stuff just sitting around that I need to drink.
Unconsumed beer.
I know. I'm a bad friend and a bad podcast host. But this isn't Joshua's therapy session. Anyways, you're not just brewing Kolsch. You're not just brewing alt. What have you been up to in the brewing scene? How's your brewing game? I know, obviously, we talked about you being a pilot. That's not the easiest schedule to probably work around for brew days. How's brewing been for you?
It's been really nice. This year, I've been focusing on my New England IPA and sending it around the country to lots of different competitions. In the beginning of 23, I won first place for Hazy IPA at Bluebonnet. It was the only entry that I had for Bluebonnet that year. And I was like, well, I should do more entries. So for 24, I had 11 entries for Bluebonnet. I didn't win anything. And I was like, well, okay. And so this year, I kind of took a different tack and I said, okay, my NEPA is really good. So I'm going to try and just send it all over the country, a bunch of different contests and see how it does. And it's been doing pretty well so far. So I've got an entry that's going into the National Homebrew Competition. They do a regional and then a national thing. So I hope to make it out of regionals and go on to nationals. It'd be cool.
Let's stop there and talk about that because there's no NHC always coincided with Homebrew Con, and there's no Homebrew Con this year in regards to being in the summer. Normally it would be in June. NHC started later then for entries. Is it happening now?
Yeah, some of it's a regional thing. I don't know. There's 8 or 10 different locations that you can submit your beer, and each region gets 400 or so entries, and then they filter those. And if you place, or I think you have to be first in your region, then you rebrew for the national.
Oh, total rebrew.
So they take the top from every region, and then they put them all together for the national.
I had no idea. Yeah. You've never entered it, have you?
No.
Oh, okay.
So it's a different competition in that it's each site is only 400 entries or so. You look at it all together, and it's a massive competition, but it's a bunch of sites, and that's kind of the difference with Bluebonnet. Bluebonnet's the largest single site competition in the country, and this year they get 1,400 entries.
1,400.
Yeah. Times 3 bottles each, so you can imagine what the sort was like for all that.
Goodness,
it's pretty wild.
I'd be a really bad friend. I couldn't drink all that. You brought some hardware. Go ahead. I want you to pose.
Oh, it's over there.
Okay. Well, I'll have to superimpose a picture of you. I'll take a picture of you later holding it. You're not kidding about winning and placing.
Yeah. It's just I haven't like won any huge things yet, but. I mean, I won something up in Duluth, Minnesota. I won one in Virginia. I won a medal in San Antonio at Alamo. It's a really cool really cool metal. When I saw those when they came out, I was like, oh, I got to enter this because I really want this metal. It's a really neat looking metal. So
I don't want to be offended, but you have won something huge. Are you kidding me?
I know I have won the most major award.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Golly, man, that was just slap us in the face.
Well, I mean for the NEPA.
Yeah. Oh, who cares about that stuff? What did you bring? You didn't see him when he got here.
I brought a bottle of the NEPA.
He brought it for you.
With Todd.
That's what I like.
I know. I share it with
I told him that.
Not with Josh because he doesn't like that.
I wouldn't appreciate
He
it.
has no taste in beer.
I have no taste in anything. Look how I dress myself. Actually, I love this shirt. I wear it all the time. As a competitive brewer, or when you're going into the mindset, what do you find a commercial style of that you're trying to mimic, or like, because what is the thought process? Like, you have to find a really good commercial one to go, that's the gold standard. I want to emulate that for a better chance at winning. Or you brewing it to your, like, hey, when I drink a brown ale, I like it to taste like this. Or what are some of the kind of internal guidelines?
It's for me. There is some commercial comparisons, I guess, that you do. The best that I was able to do with Kolsch was at that place down there in New Braunfels. What's it called?
Krautz's.
Krautz's. Because they had like 5 or 6 of them available. So I ordered all of them, and it's little taster glasses. Because for me, it's like, if I drink a Kolsch, it's like, okay, it tastes like a Kolsch, and if I drink another one a week later, okay, it tastes like a Kolsch. But if you get all 5 or 6 of them next to each other, then you can start to tell the difference.
That's pretty cool. I like that place. That's a great place.
It is a great place.
You've been a few, every time you go to town, I think, basically.
Yeah. I never thought about ordering, like, I didn't realize they had 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I've never thought about ordering all of them and then try. That's pretty cool.
They have
of course,
several,
I do that every time I do the Kolsch Cup.
Several German varieties, and then there was a couple from Texas.
Okay.
And I know Josh had always been, he's like, this one is, and
Fredericksburg.
Yeah. And then when I tried them side by side, I was like, I understand now.
See? Yeah. Ha! And I didn't name them. They don't watch the show. They don't care. That German guy made gazillions of dollars. He didn't care. But anyways, because I don't brew very well, but I also don't brew competitively. And so I don't have that mindset of like, what would I change about a recipe if I was going to enter it, because like I'm pretty selfish. Like, I want to brew beer. Ultimately, I'm going to enjoy drinking, but I guess every style you're brewing is also styles you enjoy. You're not entering styles for the sake of it.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. I don't do meads or ciders or anything like that. And I have friends that do, and I'll drink 1 or 2 of them, but I don't want a 5-gallon keg of it, So yeah, I generally just brew things that I like.
So what do you, of all the beer styles out there, are there certain styles you don't care for, or you kind of like everything?
I like everything.
You like sours?
Yeah, I mean, I have a great friend, Jonathan Rollins, who's like very accomplished sour brewer, and he has a good name, obviously. But yeah, he makes sours, and we're actually doing a collaboration brew right now that I brewed the base, and then he's souring it. And yeah, pretty cool.
I could do that part of it. Come on, no, I'm kidding. It's effort. I know.
Yeah.
Anything I've ever done sour and I've never done sour. I made a Kolsch Weizen once with my dad and I, because we didn't ferment under pressure at the time, but the temperature was too hot, so it was very cloudy and tasted like a Hefeweizen.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Brewing competitively. Have you ever even considered it, Todd? Because I have not. I have no desire to share my beer.
Yeah, no. I mean, I never have done it. Yeah.
I mean, have you considered it though?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
This is what stopped you? Just laziness?
I don't have a huge drive to do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, similar.
I mean, I may change my mind at some point, but I just brew beer, and I don't know. I enjoy that.
Since knowing James, he did it once. We recorded an episode at the regional spot. It was at Oscar Blues, rest in peace, the Austin location. Pour one out for them. They're done. But it was 2019 or 2018. We recorded from there, and that was the one where the keg was incredible. It was phenomenal. Something happened between bottling and handing it to them, because his score sheet, I mean, I don't want to make up a number, but he scored under a 20, I think, is what he said.
That is a huge challenge with competition.
Is it?
Is the bottling. Yeah. And I mean, that's the problem I had last year with Kolsch Cup, was that I had a very nice Kolsch that scored I put it into our homebrew. Cap and Hair does a monthly homebrew competition, and you can just put in whatever you want. And so last year's Kolsch Cup scored very well, low 40s, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then when I bottled it for you guys, I bottle conditioned it, which means I put priming sugar in it. And the score sheets came back and they said it was sour. And I'm like, really?
Who did it for Kolsch Cup?
It was, I think it was James and Todd.
Okay. Or James and Wes maybe were Kolsch Cup.
Yeah, they were the James and Wes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think they were.
They're like it's sour, like slightly, not like. But I was
so
like,
you think
really?
so? Why?
Well, so it was, and I had some more bottles, and so I was like, okay, we're gonna test this out, because I had done like 6 bottles, and I sent a couple to you, and I had a few more, and I was like, yeah, it's sour, and I had the draft right there, and it wasn't, so it had gone bad in the bottle. So why were you trying to condition that way versus just putting carbonated beer in the bottle? So that's what I did this year.
Okay, I'm just curious what the
I was like, this was dumb.
Okay.
Well, I mean, like with my NEPA, I bottle condition that exclusively, and it works great.
Okay.
But with a Kolsch, one of the things is the judges are going to be looking for extreme clarity, and whenever you bottle condition it, you're going to get some yeast in the bottom. And I knew this year that if I wanted to be competitive, I needed it to be very clean and bright. And it was actually, I was listening to you guys back in January, and you were talking about I don't know what it's called, Nuka Tap, tap filler thing.
Yeah, the growler filler.
That goes straight in.
And the counterflow that
counterflow that goes right on the bottle. And because I have one of those, I forget what it's called, but Blickman beer guns. I have one of those, and I've never really had much luck with that. And I was like, I'm going to try this thing. Because you guys were talking about it, and you're like, yeah, it won't fit on our faucets, but you can get a Nuka Tap or whatever. So I got one, and I started using it, and it worked really well.
Awesome.
And it kept it nice and carbonated, because that can be a challenge going from a keg into a bottle. It foams everywhere, and so being able to keep it under counter pressure to keep it from coming out of solution like that. So I got a real nice clean transfer. Didn't have to worry about priming sugar and additional secondary fermentation or anything like that. And I think it made a big difference.
Oh, that's awesome. And I love the beer gun, but I only use it typically to take beer to some place.
Right. Like
so
you're going to a party or
something. It's almost like a growler, really, because it's just going to be maybe a couple of days at the most.
Yeah.
But we have another one that's truly, because the Blickman beer gun isn't really a counter pressure bottle filler.
Yeah.
But we do sell another one. I don't think it's the one he's talking about.
No, the one you'll make that we make in house, a counter pressure bottle filler that he has sourced the parts and we assemble it ourselves. But because you're right, the Blickman beer gun's not truly counter pressure.
So that's good to know if we ever do a contest to actually use that one to make sure that you get that, because it's important you got to purge it a lot and then bring it exactly pretty much to that pressure you put the cap on, and it loses almost none from putting the cap on, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, and do you think, what do you think went wrong then in the transfer? I mean, the bottle conditioning.
The bottle conditioning is what went wrong.
That is okay. I mean, but what about
what made it sour?
Right,
I don't know.
That's what I was getting
I don't know. The Kolsch is a pretty delicate style. I don't think you would ever detect that on the NEPA.
No.
Because there's so much hop flavor and everything. But with the Kolsch, and I should say it wasn't every bottle either, because I had some bottles that tasted perfectly normal. And you took a bottle home and you said it tasted perfect.
Oh, I did. Fine. Yeah, the bottle. Yeah, which it was funny. You're right, because I opened it that day because you were like, "Hey," I think you asked me to, and I said, "How weird! If we would have picked that as your day one." It very well could have went on. That happened this year. To talk about buddies who enter our things at the Kolsch Cup. Our buddy Fred, blind brew guy on Instagram. Go follow him. He remember the first day. I think who was judging this year together? Me and Wes, and you and James. I believe you guys gave him the score that put him on to day 2. And then the next day he had those specks in the beer. Do you remember that one where we joked about? He must use Sterling hops, like salt and peppery.
Yeah.
If we would have picked that bottle first, it wouldn't have gone through to the. Yeah. That is wild how a same batch can differ so much in 2 different bottles.
Yeah, and it's a huge challenge with competitions. And these ones I'm sending bottles all over the country, and who knows how hot the UPS truck is, that kind of stuff. I had one entry, the very first entry I sent out, they lost it. UPS just lost it. After a week, I was like, where is this thing? It's been sitting in Pennsylvania for a week. So I ended up sending another batch, and a month later, it came back to my house. They're like, oh, sorry, we found it, and then we delivered it, and they refused it.
Yeah.
So now we're charging you. And I'm like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
And so then I had these 2 bottles, and I was like, I wonder how this is. They were perfectly fine.
No
I couldn't believe it. After all that, they tasted absolutely fine.
I don't remember how we received it, but do you ship with ice packs when you do competitions?
I think to here, no, generally I don't. I don't even think I did here, because it's like 1 day to get here.
But depending on if it was cross country, you might.
I haven't. And most of the stuff that I've shipped so far has been earlier in the year, but we're kind of getting into the heart of summer now, and I'm not going to be shipping out a bunch of stuff over the summer.
And then one last thing from competition, and I'll keep us moving. People just like this kind of stuff, especially as someone who's been award winning. A lot of our listeners are new-ish to brewing in general. Some of them have been brewing a while and just now getting confident in their styles. Do you think competitions are the best way to gauge where your style, like your recipe development, is competition the best way to gauge? Like,
I think so, because if you give your buddies beer around the pool, oh, this is awesome, free beer. They're not going to know anything. You know what I mean?
Todd is just like, wait a second, that's what my friends tell me.
And maybe this is the 12th beer they've had this afternoon. So they really don't know.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, this beer tastes great. Competitions are generally blind. They don't know whose it is. That they're judging it against a style, and so you're going to get really honest feedback. And I think it's a really good way to improve your beers.
That's what I've been telling people. But then they're like, but you don't do competition. I'm like, yeah, because I don't care what anyone else thinks about the beers that we brew. If my dad likes it, I'm like, okay, it was a success. If family comes over and they make a face when they drink it, good. It's more for us. I don't even care. Anyways, besides obviously taking down medals and all that, you and I, we text, and you sent me some photos from a recent trip. I do want to bring it up. You sent it to me, so I'll put it on the screen for when I'm editing.
Yeah.
You had he brewed at, I don't remember where in Canada. You didn't tell the whole story, with lake water, fermented there, all that. And you tell the story. Todd will be hearing it fresh too.
So I did this for the first time 2 years ago. And this is a lake that we go to every spring, right when the ice comes off the water. Me and some buddies go up to, it's called McGeesee Lake. It's in Ontario, in Sunset Country, just north of Minneapolis or Minnesota. And, we fly in there. It's in this area of 80,000 lakes where they only allow 1 cabin per lake. So it's very remote, and they fly us in on a float plane, and we fish all week, and we drink lots of beer and eat lots of food. It's fantastic. And I did this 2 years ago, and then I did it again just this last week, where I brewed and took a bucket of water right out of the lake and boiled it on the stove. And, I mashed in a cooler, which I don't do that ever. Mashed in a cooler with a bag and strained it, and then boil it on the stove, and put it in a 3-gallon keg, threw the yeast in there, fermented under pressure and temperature. And after 3 days, cold crashed it and served it straight out of the keg.
Did you cold crash it by just putting it in the lake?
I set it outsed. I set it outside overnight.
Okay.
Yeah, because it got down to like 45 that night, and then Then I stuck it in the fridge for the rest of the time. And we had one of those little CO2 injectors to push it out. It wasn't fully carbed, but it was carbed enough to drink. And it was an IPA. It was like a smash IPA. It wasn't single hop, but it was 2 hops and all pills and malt. And it was
smash-ish.
Smash-ish, yeah. But this time I bottled a couple of bottles for my outfitter, and put a couple of priming tablets in there and said, here, wait a couple weeks and then try this out. So
now, did you do IPA because that's a more forgiving style?
I mean, I wanted to use the Kvike yeast because it's very fast.
He likes IPA.
No, I know, but I'm saying though, like he likes all beer. Would you have done a German lager on this trip? Of course not.
Not enough time.
Not enough time. I'm just saying.
I think it still amazes him that people like IPA.
Yeah.
You're right. Now that you say that, it's true. Do you like people actually like it? They're not just being cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we like it. It's tasty.
Do people like cigarettes too? Because I just do it to look cool. Like I didn't know. No, but I'm just assuming, like you said, the Kvite would suit that style better, even though people do pseudo lagers. It's fast.
I wouldn't use a US. I mean, you could do USO5 with an IPA, but it wouldn't be fast enough. It'd sit there for 24 hours doing nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and the Kvite, I can pitch it. It was like 90, 95 degrees, and just threw it straight into the keg and let it start ripping.
Was it quick?
Oh yeah. I mean, we had a spinning valve on it set to 10 or 12 psi, and it just started hissing right away, and it just hissed all night. Set it next to we have a wood burning thing in the cabin there, so keep it nice and warm all night long. And yeah, I went for 3 days, then it stopped, just done. And then cold crashed it, and I added some dry hops. I had used the float it dip tube in there, so it had the filter on there. And I threw 2 ounces of hops in there, and
in the 3-gallon batch.
Yeah, well, it was 3-gallon keg. It was more like 2.5 gallons
with 2 ounces of the hops.
Yeah, it was. I used Sasquatch, which is a Canadian variety.
Okay,
I used Idaho 7. And I think the Idaho 7 was the bittering hop, and then the Sasquatch was what we used in the dry hop.
That's so much hops for dry hopping.
Yeah, but it was actually not. It was supposed to be an IPA. It was more like a pale ale. It wasn't really that bitter. So.
Yeah, because the dry hops don't really
much
bitter.
The aroma and the flavor. I know, but I'm only laughing because there are pale ales. Like real ale has, I think it's called, is it Swifty or Shifty? I always forget. But you drink it and you're like, yeah, that's a pale ale. And I'm like, bro, that tastes like an IPA to me.
A lot of pale ales now, to me, a lot of pale ales on the market now are stronger than IPAs
Absolutely.
were, 15 years ago.
Especially if you go to England and you try the pale ales there, oh my gosh. Timothy Taylor's Landlord over there, it's a big favorite. I mean, I'll still be tasting the hops for 3 hours after I drink.
Really?
Beer.
Okay.
Yeah, and over here it's tamed down once it gets over the ocean, but over there it's very hoppy, at least to me. I mean, and I love hops, but I think that is.
I can't imagine what I would say. Yeah. I can't imagine the face I would make.
Yeah, you would not like it.
It would not be that enjoyable. Yeah. So brewing remotely, or is it? I mean, you're doing it different because at home, which I didn't cover in the competition part, but I can bring up now. You're brewing electric all-in-ones. Is what is your go-to? I'm assuming for space, convenience, temperature control. I mean, consistency, all the above. Brewing stovetop and all that remote.
Yeah.
Do you have lower expectations for the batch or?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And it was the first night we're there, so we're tired from traveling and all this stuff, and it's just like, all right, let's just get it done. But you don't have good ways to measure stuff. Basically, we were weighing the water with a luggage scale to get the volume because I mean, how else are you going to get it? So you're just weighing it and. There you go, and you just dump it in there, and that looks about right. And it was.
What day did y'all actually tap into it? Like, let's say it's a 7-day trip.
Yeah, we went in there on a Tuesday and came out on a Monday, and we drank it Sunday night. So it was right before we left. So we had run out of all of our craft beer, and it was like the last beer we were drinking of the trip.
4 dudes,
nice. Yeah,
four guys, 2.5 gallons. Oh, that's nothing.
Oh yeah, it was just a little.
That's a Friday at the ranch.
25, like 26 beer, 27 beer.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised the next morning when because there was still junk at the bottom of the keg, and I wanted to rinse it out before bringing it back, and there was a lot of junk in the bottom of that keg that floating dip tube. I mean, it didn't bother it at all. It worked fantastic.
I'm going to put the link in the show notes, guys, because y'all think sometimes people accuse me of being hyperbolic because of my friends. Trong is a friend now, but before he was a friend, he was a lover. No, before he was a friend,
inappropriate.
Yeah, before he was a friend, he was a vendor. That's what I meant to say. And I don't know if you've used the float on any of your batches yet.
I have.
Ask my pop, dude. We're believers.
Okay.
It is so good. And like Jonathan's saying, he was pouring clear from the get go. Like none of those particular. And you didn't bag your dry hops.
Just threw it straight, and all the trube and everything because we just dumped the boil kettle into there. We didn't have any way to like filter it, we just dumped it in there. So there was all kinds of trube and stuff that went in.
There was what? I'm sorry.
Troop Trup.
Okay, Trup. Yeah, okay. I just this word.
What is true?
I don't know. This
people keep saying that.
I think they're French.
There was
yeah, it's French.
lots of goopiness. There was lots of goopiness.
Goopiness.
Yeah.
Let's bring that word back.
Yeah.
I like that goopiness. So it is that time now. We're transferring things. Your big Gotti trophy's back there. You are the Kolsch Cup 2024.
Oh yeah, we got to present him with it.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Todd. Yeah. Our own in-house Vanna White.
Yes. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I've got Kolsch over there. We're going to fill that up.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll just start drinking right out of that thing.
It was. Is that trophy big enough for you?
Oh, my daughter is going to be thrilled. She is huge. I mean, she's 9 years old, about to turn 10, and she is huge into trophies. Sometimes she'll go to garage sales and buy other people's trophies.
Yes.
Just so she can have a trophy.
That's nice.
It's hilarious.
So we have an idea. I want to run it by you. We'll run it by everybody.
Okay. Deal.
Is for next year's award.
Oh yes.
We're thinking about we found a place that we get our Kolsch glasses from. They actually have the wooden holder that they serve it to you with.
Oh yeah.
So we're thinking about doing that as the trophy with eight
That's
eight
a great
Kolsch
idea.
glasses.
6, right? Or is it
Or
8?
6. Man, I think it's 8.
I don't remember.
But maybe.
Don't get me lying. But yeah, and the pricing wouldn't. It would actually be a little bit more than the trophy, but I think,
more.
but
Like,
actually functional.
Yeah,
But like
very cool. That's a great idea.
It was
that a
less than $100. And
It was, yeah.
And it was, I don't think, plus we'd have to have the glasses, but I think that'd be fun.
wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that'd be
That's
very
what
cool.
Yeah,
You can get a little laser thing to engrave on the top.
Well, it was part of it. They
there you go.
Engrave it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send them the 2024 or 2025 Kolsch Cup logo, and then they would laser etch it for us. You're right, though. We could maybe laser etch the winner's name after the fact, or we could find some way to do something. But I mean, but just the trophy.
We'll just laser etch his name in it.
Oh no! Oh, well.
He's going to pay me off again this year.
Pay you off. How much is it going to cost me this time?
Prices did go up.
Inflation.
But so like you said, this isn't your first. Did you do our original Kolsch Cup?
No. I
Okay.
didn't.
This is your second Kolsch Cup.
Yeah, and the first one, I think the timing didn't work out. The second one, the only reason the timing worked out was because of the delay. So there was. There was a delay. You guys
like
pushed
2
it
weeks.
Off. Well,
3 weeks.
Yeah, I think it was even more than that. Even it got pushed off a few times. I brewed that in April 16th of 2023, and I think that the judging was towards the end of May.
It was.
Yeah, and this year I was still getting ready for Blue Bonnet and sending out all my NEPA around the country, and I realized that I didn't have enough time to brew again. So this year's brew I had done in November, and it was for Blue Bonnet. And I actually split it into 2 different fermenters. I had a 10-gallon one and a 5-gallon one, and I did it slightly differently in the 2. We can go into that, but yeah. I tested them with a bunch of people, and I figured out which ones I was going to send in to Blue Bonnet, and send it in. And then we're coming along, and Kolsch Cup is coming up, and all of a sudden I realize I do not have enough time to brew again for Kolsch Cup. So I'm like, do I still have some of the keg? And I had a gallon left. And I was like,
it was meant to be.
I was like, okay. And it was the B. It was the B sample. The A sample is what we had sent to Blue Bonnet. And so I had the B sample, and I was like, well, I guess that's what I'm going to send in. And I had to move it around. I had to move it into my kegerator that I had gotten the Nuka tap on so I could do the counterprint. And it was so stirred up from all that moving around. And I kept I was testing it. It was just foamy. It was cloudy. I was like, I've ruined this beer. I kept dosing it with clarifier, and I was like, this is going to be terrible. But eventually it calmed down, and it still did not want to pour with the regular dip tube. So I ended up having to put a floating dip tube in it. I don't know if there was something clogged in the poppet or something, but it was just horribly foamy pouring it. So I put a floating dip tube in there. Then it worked fine. I was able to fill 2 bottles and send it off to you guys. But
wait, that was 2023 or that was 2024?
That was this year.
No way. Okay, I thought that's what you're talking about,
Yep.
but
which clarifier do you use?
I use that Biofine Clear.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I use the one, I don't remember what it's called, but it's 2 parts.
Oh, okay.
and super clear.
Super clear.
With the K?
And I can't believe how well it works.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you have beer and you're having trouble, it can really clear it up fast.
Did you ever try it on that cloudy alt that we brought you?
No, remember we used filters on it. The filters leaked.
Oh, we tried. I didn't know if you tried it after the fact.
No, because we got it transferred as filtered.
That's right.
But we just lost a lot of
the
beer.
filtering process sucked.
Yeah,
it was bad. I don't recommend it.
Well, we had an issue. I mean, it would work a lot better if we didn't have a
housing issue.
Yeah,
house.
Yeah.
It was bad. Yeah. But anyway, so that's incredible that you had all that struggle.
It was very, very abused beer, and it was still once I was able to get 2 bottles filled, and I could look at and I could tell how clear that beer was in the bottle. I mean, it was just.
Did you watch it on YouTube? The Kolsch Cup?
I did. Yeah.
Did you not?
Watch the judging. Yeah.
Like 95% of the entries were just so beautifully clear.
Mm-hmm.
Like
they were.
It was incredible this year.
Yeah.
How many clear Kolsches, and I'm talking like maybe everyone's using clarifier because I've never had my own Kolsch that clear, even letting it sit for a very long.
You have.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
You've given me Kolsch before that was just as clear as a bell.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm too harsh on my own.
Or impatient.
Very impatient.
Well,
absolutely. I'm very impatient.
I mean, if you let it sit a long time, it clears up.
Without clarifier. The clarifier just speeds up that process.
Yeah.
Okay. You're getting me all sidetracked. Let's talk more about the good beer that I've brewed for you. So do you recommend using clarifier for, I mean, not just competition beers, at your home for all beers you're going to be drinking and serving?
I do it for Kolsch's and lagers and stuff like that. Absolutely.
Just to speed up the process.
Well, yeah. I mean, people are going to expect it to be clear. If you give them a Mexican lager and it's cloudy, they're going to be like,
I'm half Mexican. I'd be like, that's how my people do it, okay?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're used to the commercial examples.
Yeah.
And,
your friends are. My friends are idiots. My friends are like, what is this? It's a half Mexican lager. Shut up.
If you give it to them in a solo cup, it doesn't matter.
See, you hacked it. That is a life hack, right? If you don't want them to see it,
exactly,
put it in the solo cup.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the formation of your recipe.
Yeah.
Now, we threw James under the bus just a little bit when we were talking about brewing the alt beer, because James is a tinkerer. He will make the most delicious, like that one blonde alt, which granted he missed the coloring. I forget which.
Blondus.
Yeah, we call it blondus alt. But either way, I was like, dude, just replicate that even if you add the other one. He always likes to tinker because it's always like, oh, this one could be a little more of this. I get it from his standpoint. He's a perfectionist.
Yes.
And I like the end results most of the time. So I'm not going to complain. But do you dial in a recipe? Like, is this Kolsch one that you've already dialed in, or did it change from the last year's entry or any other competitions that you've ever
So
entered?
it's basically the same recipe that I did last year in 23, except there was some pretty big changes to the water chemistry. And I don't know exactly what happened with the water chemistry, but I started looking into last year's recipe and I was like, the minerals were just off. And so I had the software recalculated and it changed a lot.
You're using Brewfather, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It changed a lot. I don't know if they just changed the numbers or whatever, but there was some pretty big changes to the water chemistry.
Oh, to RO water?
Yeah, to RO water.
Yeah, you wouldn't mind sharing that with me.
Oh, no. I can send you that. It's very easy.
I did minerals on my last Kolsch too, but it was very simple. It was just like 2 or 3 minerals.
Yeah, it's funny. There's like 2 or 3 basic minerals that most brewers use. But if you start making Fopo Chico, like you guys sell, I bought it was before you guys started selling the pre-made kits. I just went and bought all those minerals. So now I have 8. And
I do too. Yeah.
So now it's like, so if you put all 8 of them in the brewing software, it will give you formulas with using all 8.
And it's better.
Well, it gets you a lot closer because the software, it tells you what the target is and it'll say, a range. And if you use all 8 of those, it will nail every one of those.
No kidding.
If you're only using 2 or 3, it'll get close.
What's the target? Like gypsum and calcium carbonate?
It's all the same stuff.
No, but is that what most people are? You said most people only use 2.
Gypsum and calcium carbonate and maybe Epsom salt.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you get all that other stuff for the Topo Chico, the magnesium chloride and all this, then it'll really nail it.
Or go to ketconnection.com, buy those Topo Chico things, and save 5%. Use promo code HHH. I had to sneak it in.
There you go.
So you think the difference in not that great of a Kolsch, or not day 2 Kolsch, not one that didn't make it to day 2, and Champion all starts with the water?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does, Josh. The water is very important. You should use water.
Todd's a believer.
I'm doing every batch I do.
I do it on everything I make.
But I've struggled with finding. I go online and a lot of people disagree and agree. And I've struggled finding. What program are you using?
I'm using Brewfather, and it has all the different profiles. Like Dusseldorf Alt Beer, Kolsch. I mean, they have the water profiles for the cities. So
they do. Okay.
So there you go.
Does Brewer's Friend not do that too? I thought it did.
It does. Okay. It has a thing. Yeah. But I'll have to ask
Lorena.
Yeah, I have to ask
Text her,
because maybe I'm doing something.
Well, Jonathan listens to the show, so he knows. I get chastised frequently recently for people. They compare me using just plain old RO water to like, do you just cook chicken by just throwing it without seasoning?
Do you make Topo Chico with tap water?
No, of course not.
Because why?
Yeah, because it's not Topo Chico without it.
Because it would not taste anything like it.
Yeah,
right?
No, I understand the principle.
And, I mean, and even RO water. Would you make it with RO water?
What's
would
that?
you make Topo Chico with RO water?
No, of course not.
What would it taste like?
No, it would taste
horrible.
Yeah,
I mean, it
absolutely.
wouldn't. Yeah, so you could use the Kolsch water profile to make Topo Chico. Well, what do you think would happen? It would be interesting for sure. You could do the same thing with the Dusseldorf water profile.
Yeah,
I mean, they're all going to be. They're not like way out there. Like IPA water profiles can be pretty out there, especially for things like Nipas. But for all these city, I mean, because isn't Topo Chico, isn't that Monterey?
I would, I would think. It's outside of Monterey. Well, I would think Kolsch and Dusseldorf would have the same water.
They don't.
I mean, they're just right there next to each other.
Huh. They don't. That's what makes those beers so quintessential for their cities in Europe. Munich, same thing. All the Oktoberfest beers are all brewed with the same water supply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wild. I get it. That's just mixing in minerals is like an extra 30 seconds of work on a brew day.
But if you'll do it for Topo Chico, you could probably do it for beer.
Yeah, but we have people at the office who bag that for me.
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest challenge, frankly, is just finding
the minerals.
What mix to do.
Yeah. Hell, yeah.
I struggle with it. I struggle with deciding on what I want to do because a lot of people argue about it incessantly online, and they completely disagree with each other.
Yeah, every topic.
I just use the software, and it has like 60 different water profiles in there.
Yeah.
Are you making an amber? Are you making an IPA? Are you making a Kolsch, an alt? I mean, it's there. It's all there, and you hit auto. You hit auto, and you tell it what minerals you have, and it goes spits it out for you.
I'm fairly confident Brewer's Friend does that too, boss.
I mean, I've used the one on Brewer's Friend. We should talk to her, but I don't think it does it like that.
Okay. I've never used it. That's why I was asking. I was more of a question.
No, I always use it. I mean, I always pull it up.
Oh, see, I thought you. Okay, see, I always miss when you talk about getting it on the internet, like online.
No, I do. I go and look at other sources too because I don't know that I don't necessarily always trust what the program brings out. So
but he feels that way about every program and everything on the internet.
I mean, if you want to go looking for somebody to disagree with something,
you go to the internet.
Just go to the internet.
Go to Reddit. Are you kidding me? Why don't y'all like me?
It's just fascinating. You could take that water profile, put it online, say, this is what I do, and somebody will go,
oh, yeah, that's not.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't add that much gypsum because this is why. And they'll give you a very convincing reason why.
But like you said, though, there is like you.
I'm going to look at that if you don't mind.
Here, this is the old one. Look at the new one. Here's the new one.
Oh, and he'll send it to you, too.
No, but I'm just curious.
Jonathan's one of the most transparent people I've ever met with brewing, where I asked him something and you're almost within half a second replying to me before I even hit send.
See, and I get this a lot too, but but to get to that, this gives you all of the actual breakdown. Number of grams.
So as he's oodling over the water profile, let's talk about the grain bill. First off, what was the size batch?
I did 15 this time, which is more than you can do in a 20-gallon solo unit, but I've started to make really big batches. I've started sparging with my solo, which involves, partially lifting the grain basket and adding more water on top of the grain to rinse it. And then you get like a 20-gallon boil, which is, pretty close to the top.
That's basically what we do in the G40.
Yeah.
with 10 gallons.
Yeah. So it's the same idea.
Yeah.
And that's how I can squeak 3 kegs worth of beer out of it instead of 2.
So what was the bill like for grain?
I'm pretty sure this is James's recipe, right? It's 85% Pilsen, 11% Vienna, and 3% Well,
Caravan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And then it's
hops.
Howler Tradition.
Tradition. Man, that is a James Carlson special.
Yeah. It's just his recipe, So, yeah.
I love that. That's the true to style.
Right.
And that is what you're not in the Chub Club. You don't got to be in the Chub Club, whatever. It hurts my feelings.
I am a contributor.
Oh, no, you're right. You're not a recipe receiver.
Right. I'm not a recipe receiver.
I know. But every time I'm doing the 50 kits or whatever a month, I don't see his name still. But this is the kit that we did send out that a lot of people who entered. So our competitions, because we do offer at any level of our Patreon, we offer discounts for members in our competitions because it's a win-win. You know what I mean? We're really just trying to cover the cost of the trophy and shipping and for shirts and all that. It's not Todd did the math for me the first year. He goes, dude, we lost money. Like, how did you manage to lose money? I was like, oh crap. So the next year raised it by like $5. Shipping has gone up. But anyway.
That's why I said I'd come out here and collect this.
Oh, I know. You're the man for doing that. Yeah. Cause it was going to be, even though you're only a click away, it was going to be expensive.
Right.
But people, we got a lot of entries of the same recipe that they did the true to style. And it is crazy how it's not like blatant differences, but noticeable differences, even though they all did the same. In your opinion, what could cause, like, let's say the three of us, or me, Todd, and James are going to be doing alt beer. We're all to be doing the same recipe. What are some contributing factors to why the same exact recipe ends up different?
Well, this is a great example because I split this into 2 fermenters, remember? So I've got a 10-gallon fermenter and a 5-gallon fermenter. The 10-gallon, that was the A batch, which is not the one I sent you guys. That was temperature controlled. It was not pressure fermented. It was a normal temperature. What is it? 68. Yeah, I think it was 68. Yeah. So it was normal temperature, normal Kolsch temperature.
Yeah. And
the other batch I did inside my house in a 5-gallon conical. And that one, obviously, I couldn't control the temperature, but it was, similar to, it didn't go crazy. I've got the telemetry from it, and it was normal temperature range, but I did use pressure on it because there was the possibility that the temperature would get too high. So that was the only difference. I used the same yeast on both. I put 2 packets in this one. I put 1 packet in that one. Same exact yeast. Everything else was exactly the same. They tasted different because we could taste the difference when we did the taste testing on it to figure out what was I going to submit to Blue Bonnet.
Yeah.
And we submitted the other one to Blue Bonnet, and they
didn't like it.
I mean, they said it's too hoppy for one.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They said it was too hoppy.
What do they know?
And maybe it was because remember, you got your sample 2 or 3 months later.
Oh, right. It mellowed out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's something to be said sometimes for letting
it
age. Absolutely.
Yep.
I never asked the previous champ who did not Brian, George, who used Sterling, if he had how long he let it mellow out because I could.
The German beer that I brewed, the Pilsner. When I tried it in the fermenter, I was like, crap, it's too hoppy.
Yeah.
And you taste it now, it's not hoppy at all.
No,
right?
it's so smooth. Yeah. It is a dead clone for Warsteiner.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it's so good. So smooth.
It's up there at the pool if you want to try it.
We will. We got to give you the tour of the pool.
Yeah.
His whole kitchen area up there.
Yeah. You got that done, huh?
Yep.
Remember you were talking about that. Nice.
Yeah, it's done. Pretty much. You got a little painting to do, but that's it.
Cool.
So wrapping up for the Kolsch Cup part before, because Todd did implore me to get a question for the show too. I was like, no, when we do interviews, I'm just like, he was like, no, get a question. He's an expert. We've used him so much. The Marut minute. This has ended up being the Marut 52 minute. Yes, so I'm not giving you any more of Todd's money for this. But wrapping up for the Kolsch Cup and all that. Well, first off, now that you're a grand champion, you are the 2024 grand champ. Are you going to continue entering our Kolsch Cup? Because I had an idea of bringing you on as a guest if you're willing to come down and be the 4th judge for us for Kolsch Cup 2025.
I'd love to do that. Yeah.
You're committing to it right now, so you won't enter it.
Yeah. I won't enter
a little bit of conflict of interest if you did. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely entering it.
Your pseudonym?
Oh, that number 22 is good, isn't it? Whoa.
That would be hilarious.
Well, we talked about, did you want to talk about the second round? idea?
So get this. Yeah, before I take the question, talking about competitions, the way I've done it is just the way that made the most sense. We have scorecards for each grouping so that they know how they did. Tell them how BJCP actually does it when they get to the final round.
Yeah, I've seen how they do it at Blue Bonnet. Blue Bonnet, the tables typically have 36 beers. So you have 36 Kolsches, and they'll divide them into groups of 12. So they'll have 2 or 3 people judging each group of 12. And each group then will do their independent judging using the scorecards. And if they find a beer that they feel is worthy going on to the next round, it's generally reflected by the scorecards. It's 40 or above, you're probably going to advance to the next round. And so each table may have 2 or 3 beers that they advance to the next round. So the next round, then they'll get the head judge from each table. So 3 guys, and then maybe one more master judge or something like that. They will go around one table and they will pour 4 glasses of each of those beers. So let's say there's 3 samples from each, so there's 9 samples. They'll pour 4 samples of every one of those beers, and they'll lay them out on the table, and you just go all the way down the line, and then the other judge starts at the other end. So you're going like this, and you're just trying them, and in your head you're figuring it out, and then once you sample them, you start talking, and you say, well, I really like this one, and you may all just come to the conclusion, right, this one right here is the best, but you may not. But it's a much more organic type of thing where it's discussing, talking. This is what I like. This is not to style because of that sort of thing. The only challenge could be is if you got too much into the weeds of personal preference versus judging to style. But it's a much quicker.
Doesn't it sound interesting? I'm not saying we'll switch to that, but it would make better live television.
Yeah, is that the way they're all judged?
Yeah.
Or it is. Yeah. So
the first round is the only place you're going to get a scorecard.
Okay.
Oh, no, did you mean all BJCP competitions?
Yeah, generally. Yeah, the larger ones. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? I never would have thought that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. You'd have to show us again when we get closer, but yeah.
Yeah, we talked about doing a sampling.
What I told him, he had said he would come down at some point again, and so that we could do like a mock one.
Yeah.
So that we would have a real experience of doing it without cameras, obviously. Because I told him, I said, you and I can really get into it. And it would make for great television, but I don't want to get punched in the mouth. So if we're like, this is the one, I mean, Todd, you're an idiot. No, it's not.
No, I think the word idiot's going to come up. And you can start on either end, right? You can say, oh, this is awesome, or you can be like, oh, this is not good, and everybody can be like, yeah, this one's out, and you start eliminating. That makes sense to me.
That does make sense, right?
Yeah,
I agree too.
So then you're down to 4 or 5 maybe, and you're like, well, this one's the best, and
As we had a few beers, we had some beers over the course of doing this where they were judged drastically differently. So, one person would say, this is my favorite beer, and another person would say, this beer's not good.
But remember, and I wasn't this year, it was the alt pool call. Second and third place was determined by one judge in regards to everyone third and fourth place. It's like the fourth place could have been third if it hadn't gotten such a low from one of the judges.
One judge,
yeah, where everyone else agreed, like, oh, the fourth place should have been the third. Where in this other style, I'm assuming it's democratic, right? I mean, where like eventually you have to resort to like majority rule. Where like, hey, there's 4 of us here. 3 of us are saying this is first place. Sorry, Josh, it's first place.
Yeah. Well, but the other thing too that's interesting, particularly with alt beer, I think a lot, even more than Kolsch, even though there's a drastic difference between Kolsch even in Cologne.
Yes.
But with alt beer, there's really a big difference between 2 of them. Yeah. And I really like one, and James really likes the other, and you could see that in the judging. Like, if the one that was kind of more bold and strong, is the one I liked, and the vice versa.
I guess we'd have to know what a BJCP judge would call the quintessential alt.
Well, you look at the specification, or I mean, we're talking about BJCP. You don't have to use I'm just the BJCP guideline.
We're better than them.
Well, not only that, but I don't think that's going to help because it's those are both. You can't say that two people brewing beer in Dusseldorf that have been doing it for 100 years that one's right and one's right.
I'm not disagreeing.
No, I agree.
So
I'm saying we'd have to come to a. You had said you can't split hairs over personal preference. Yeah. As humans, I don't know if that's possible. At the end of the day, I don't just know if that's possible. But I like the democratic side. You would like it especially too because
you don't have to do more. You don't have to do another whole round of score sheets.
Yeah.
Well, no, I love it, and I don't like sending the two score sheets out. I just want to send one out. So, and I think that like Kolsch is a great example too with the Kolsch Cup because there's some Kolsch's are much sweeter tasting than others, and some are much drier, and it does become very much a personal preference as well. So.
But as we get closer, we'll do a mock one of maybe a Pilsner, or we
need some commercial something and just try it out and see how it works.
Yeah. And I think it'd be fun. I think, especially for YouTube, it would be more enjoyable having us on the last day discussing. I'm not talking about arguing. I'm talking about actual, why does Jonathan think this is his
why
first
is Jonathan
place?
An idiot? Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, why? In the chat. What's so good? And then also, I do like, because people will be in the chat watching their judge being beard, that one's the best. It would be fun. But anyways, we do appreciate you coming and doing Kolsch Cup and all that. I do have the question, though. I want to bring it up for you. I'm milking every bit of the the Marut 60 minute that I can. I couldn't find a voicemail question, but I did find a text one from right after the first episode with Tron. Our buddy Alex P. wrote in. He said, listen to your episode with Tron. What a fun guy. He mentioned some things about pressure fermentation, PSI, and temperature, and I still have some questions, or maybe you can help elaborate. What is the ideal pressure for pressure fermentation? What temperature is too hot or even too cold for pressure fermentation? How do you pressure test your plastic fermenters at home? It's a good question from Alex. I know that a lot of context is probably missing. I don't know the answer to the last one, so I want to start with that if y'all don't mind, because you've done hydro testing before? Or
hydro test is real. So you can just Google it.
It's literally filling it with water and putting it up to the point of blowing off.
Yeah, well, it's a lot higher. It's a lot higher pressure. I don't know it off the top of my head.
I don't have any. So.
But it's a much higher pressure that you bring it up to, and if it fails, you probably want to do it outside because you're going to get a lot of water, but you're not going to get an explosion because it's full of water.
That's the point of the hydro test, right? Because it'll just start leaking. It's not going to
leaking, or it could rupture, but you're just going to have a bunch of water.
What I meant, though, it's not exploding in the traditional sense of kaboom. It's
I think it's 50 or 60 psi, if I remember right.
Where these vessels,
it could be 40 something. I don't remember.
We use the Firmzilla. I mean, you use the Spike, the conical stainless steel, but I'm using the Firmzilla. I believe they blow off at 35. So, but there is a formula you're saying if people go on Google, they can find hydro testing.
Yeah,
I bet you Kegland has the instructions themselves.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Get it direct from them.
It's on More Beer.
But unlike CO2 cylinders, you can do this at home.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect.
You don't want to do
So then back to the first part. Jonathan, in your opinion, so Tron, if I remember correctly, he's dead set on 15. That's the magic number. Mm-hmm. You've always told me 10. I actually split hairs. I do 12. Yeah. I've had good experience at 10 and 15. 12 has been good too. Yeah. Is there a reason you settled at 10?
Well, so my fermenters are only good up to 15. So if I ran them at 15, they'd be popping the PRV. So I don't want to do that. So I do 10. And
it works great.
It works great. And like when we were in Canada, I used, I think it settled at like 12 on that little mini keg. But those mini kegs are, what are they, 120 PSI?
130 or something.
You don't have to worry about those things.
Yeah.
So that's just where the spunding valve ended up. It was 12. I was like, that's fine. Not a problem. I've had Kvike up to 15 before because sometimes I forget to
open up the spunding valve.
Yeah, and then it hits the PRV. And okay. Yeah, he asked about an ideal pressure and an ideal temperature, and there's still a lot of experimentation to be done with pressure fermentation. So I would just say try it. Look at the temperature range for whatever yeast you want to use. Look at the range and find the top of that range, and then go maybe 10 or 15 degrees higher than that. And then as far as pressure, think about your vessel. what it can do. Mine will do 15, so I don't really go that high, but I think those will do more. Those will do 35, so maybe those you do 15 or 20. You will eventually freak the yeast out with either too much pressure or too much temperature. So just experiment, try it out.
Keep a diary.
Yeah, absolutely. There's that online resource that I sent you on the Google.
Is that open source? I can put that in the show notes?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. It's open source.
No, I only do 11 PSI. That's my...
You're such a troll, dude. I actually do 8.75.
Yeah, I'm joking because we decided, people always say 10 to 12. So we use 11 when we keg. So
for serving PSI.
For serving PSI, yeah. That's kind of our median. If we're going to serve everything at the same pressure, we use 11. Yep. So I'm going to do that with pressure fermenting as well.
Yeah,
that makes it easier to remember.
And it's nice because it's right in the right range.
It's already there. So, it's already in there. And you're right. It varies. Like, there is no exact answer. And I'm not just saying that as a cop out, and also because there's not exact science yet. I'm saying it because it's very contextual depending on what you're doing.
Yeah. Like, what yeast are you using? What kind of beer are you
using?
Yeah.
If you're using Kveik, without pressure, can it handle in the 90s?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And without pressure, and this will bring a bunch of fruitiness to it.
It doesn't hurt it at all to be, Voskevike will do 9,500 degrees.
Without pressure.
Without pressure, all day.
All day. Yeah. That's what people were doing pseudo lagers with in their garage. I mean, people can do pseudo lagers with pressure, but I was reading online years ago, I guess, when pseudo lagers for homebrewers was becoming a thing, and they were using Hothead, I think, was from Omega when I first saw it. And I don't even know if they still make Hothead. And I'm not even sure if it was a proper Kveik or something else. But either way, they were people making pseudo lagers in the garage at like 95 or whatever, and no pressure or anything. And they're like, it's not clear, but it tastes great, or whatever. It's like, okay, whatever.
You can fix the clearness with the clarifier.
Right, exactly. People find a way there. Yeah, a little bit of ingenuity.
So what do you, on the Kolsch should be a great example. What do you know what pressure and what temperature you did that?
I did. Well, the only one that I did under pressure was the one that was in my house, and it didn't get it to crazy temperature, 70, 75 tops.
Which makes sense because that's within that 10 degree.
Yeah.
I think that yeast is, if I remember right, the one we use is 61 to 69.
I thought it was 58 to 68. Maybe you're probably right. It's probably 60 to 68.
Yeah.
At 68, I'm pretty confident it's the high end.
Yeah.
I was using the discontinued yeast is what I was using.
I still have some of that.
I do too.
Not anymore. When you leave.
Yeast. It's great yeast. I love that.
Lalaman, we can shout them out. I mean, Imperial Dieter is my absolute favorite strain of all time. Lalaman had a great product, and for whatever, Todd went up to them to complain to them.
It was so funny. I go to the brew. I'm like, hey, y'all tell them to pitch this much. You pitch that much, and it goes absolutely nuts. You don't need to pitch anywhere near that much. Do you think there's some issue? I keep texting y'all and emailing you. I can't get an answer. I'm trying to get an answer for the and the guy's like, it does not matter. We discontinued it.
And also,
and then he kicked me in the
and then he kicked me in the schnitzel. But then a different vendor, not talking about Lalaman, Anton Parr was at Craft Brewers Conference, and he went and gave them a piece of his mind. Yeah. You haven't broken yours yet, right?
Oh, I did once. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right.
I broke mine first, and then Tom broke his, and we've been commiserating by text message. So I said, make sure you go talk to those guys when you're there.
What's maybe so mad about mine is it fell over on the counter.
Yeah. I mean, literally.
Yeah. So they basically said we have a rubber.
I bought one of those
for it now. So you bought one.
I bought one because I got mine fixed, and I didn't want it to break again. And now I don't move it around as much because it basically just it fell off of a countertop onto the ground. So it wasn't as bad as yours.
If I could screw mine to a giant board.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're joking. I'm
brilliant.
Not joking. I'll say that's brilliant. I like that idea. Just put it on a big board with that case on it. I was impressed that it took you that long to break it, honestly. It is way more fragile than a hydrometer is. And he breaks hydrometers like nothing, man.
Yeah. Nothing's more fragile than a hydrometer.
I didn't even tell you. The brew day my dad and I did a couple weeks ago, I broke the hydrometer.
Oh, wow.
Did you?
The day before I was cleaning, I broke it.
So I find that I'm much more careful with something based on how much I paid for it. So I have a hydrometer that's made in the United States, and it's twice as big as most hydrometers, and it is extremely accurate.
Yeah.
And I've never broken that one because I'm really careful when I'm using it.
That's so funny.
I've got a finishing hydrometer, which I don't know if you've seen those, but they only go from like 1010 to 980.
That may be with the, I think that's what this is.
This long, so it's very high resolution, and it's very skinny at the top.
I'll show you mine. I bet it's the same one. I bet it's very similar.
He's shown me his tons of times. Yeah, it's not awkward.
Yeah, not awkward at all.
Anyway, Jonathan Marut coming in at the Marut.
Did we finish answering that?
Well, the full answer is experimentation is your best friend because like Tron, even for the temperature, I think his rule of thumb was 10 over whatever the top end is.
Yeah.
But on your spreadsheet, there are some people who went 15 or more degrees Fahrenheit over the recommended, and their notes turned out good.
Yeah.
It's still fine.
That's awesome.
You're not going to know till you try. Like I can.
Oh, so this document you're talking about, it's a bunch of different people putting in notes.
It's open source. I can go in there and say Imperial Dieter. And I did a Kolsch, and I did it at 82 degrees and at 12 psi. How did it turn out? I loved it. That's. I mean, it's so straightforward, simple.
Okay.
It's just open sourcing a community.
Oh, that's neat.
Because I don't think, I don't want to say this again because people think it's a cop out when I go, well, there is no firm answer. Thanks for watching. But there's no science to say 15 is the right one because of this.
Yeah,
there's too many variables.
There's too many variables. Exactly. As with a lot of stuff with home brewing, there's just so many variables. It's not black and white. It's very gray. And the Venn diagram has a ton of circles. It's just all overlapping of acceptability. Because there are some people who would go, Josh, I also did a Kolsch at 82 and mine was garbage or whatever. And, well, why? What did you do?
Yeah. This was a perfect example. I did one that was temperature controlled and not pressurized, and I did one that was not temperature controlled and was pressurized, and they were different. But the only way I could tell that was by tasting them side by side.
Yeah.
If I had them, if I'd only done it one way, I would have been like, yep, that's good Kolsch. But by splitting it like that, I was able to do an A sample and a B sample. You guys got the B sample and said it was the best one of them all.
Yeah, it won unanimously. The top three for this year of Kolsch Cup we all agreed. Like there wasn't huge discrepancies in our top three. Mm-hmm. Like it was very clear cut. Like yours won it. But it was funny because the day
yours was a lot better.
it was just this much.
You won by 0.5, and I didn't even allow the points. It was not. One guy did a decimal. I won't name names.
There you go.
So then I'll wrap up the whole interview thing with this question: always pressure fermenting or no?
No, I don't always. I don't always.
Okay, but we know that because he just told us.
No. I'm saying that. Okay. I get.
If I can.
So you're not like holding a gun to your head. You have to either do pressure or not.
Yeah.
As in, like it is very contextual for you as well, depending on the style.
If I can control the temperature, I don't need to pressure ferment it. And in that case, I'll probably not. And then right towards the end, I'll close the valve and let it naturally pressurize itself just a little bit. But that's when we're talking about pressure fermentation. That's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about, active fermentation and pressurize and blow off, spunning valve and all that.
Sounds very like what yours.
An excellent example that I use a lot because I'm about to brew one is a Hefeweizen. You wouldn't want to do it.
No.
Because what you want are all those faults, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You want those. You want that yeast character. And that's what they do.
Yeast character sounds better than fault.
It does way better.
Yeah. I mean, that's how they do it in the breweries in Europe, right? They're these huge open vats.
Yeah.
So there's no head pressure. That's the whole thing about pressure fermentation is you're simulating the head pressure of a tall conical tank. Well, a lot of these old world beers
didn't have that.
Didn't have this huge. They had a big flat tank that
they still
has
do.
No head pressure. Yeah.
And they still do. It's incredible how Schlussel or any of those alt beers, right, are making incredible alts and open fermentation. Mm-hmm. It's wild. Anyways, though, we could talk on forever. I do appreciate your time. Todd's actually leaving right now. He's about to go get soldered or something.
Yep. Yeah, they're going to solder my back.
Yeah. What is it actually called? Ablation.
Ablation.
Yeah. They're going to put him out and connect some. Yeah. I hope you do feel better. You're falling apart, man.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I care about you.
Thank you.
That will do it for that. end on an awkward note. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us.
We appreciate you driving all the way.
We really do. It's always a good time having you. And you all heard it here first. He is committing to judging the 2025 Kolsch Cup. So, but again, the Alt Pokal, which I didn't mention enough already. Registration is live at altpokal.com. It's October 24th through 26th. Don't miss out. You have plenty of time to brew. And for the Kolsch Cup, I think we said it's always going to be in May from now on. So if you're an early planner, know in May of 2025, we're going to be doing the Kolsch Cup of 2025. Anyways, Jonathan, thank you so much for your time, my friend. We'll catch up with you again soon. That will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, you could call it in. Have I mentioned we need voicemail questions? So call 325-305-6107. Get yourself a $25 gift card to keckconnection.com. Thank you to our show sponsors, Lade Muntins Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Muntins, give them a try by joining the Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also get a pack of premium imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Again, go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, the absent James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.